I think I'm dumb, and this is Blenderstyle, the show where we discuss an extreme blend of music. On this episode, Nirvana, In Utero, released 1993, third and final album. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, gentlemen.
So, guys, this is my pick. I've loved Nirvana ever since the first time I've ever heard them, and it was probably through my older sister's uh, bedroom door because she never let me in there. And I've always liked this album, and I've just kind of wanted to bring it to the table and see what you guys thought about it also.
So you've been familiar with this since like the 90s when it came out, you think? Even as a little kid?
Yeah, man. I have to be, and I'm, a little younger, but like 9 years old. So like I have a nephew, and he's about probably the same age, probably 9 or 10 when I first heard it or something.
Wow. I was like in 7th grade when this came out, something like that. You and me, Casey, 93.
So okay, so yeah, there's definitely like a
somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I was watching MTV. It's all over MTV.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen the video for Heart Shaped Box.
I fucking hate that video.
So I went to school and nobody wasn't talking. None of the kids that I was like going to school with were talking about Nirvana. You know what I mean?
But you couldn't miss it though. Like this was impossible to not hear.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like unless you're living under a rock or something.
I grew up also, sneaking, crab radio on the radio and stuff because I wasn't allowed to listen to some of this music when I was younger.
Interesting, yeah.
I was listening to stuff like this when I was a Christian.
Okay.
I was allowed
now
to
listen to
like,
black metal.
Yeah. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, so I'm not super familiar with this. I think, like you said, it was everywhere. It wasn't really my style back in the day.
Me either.
Back here. I was into like, I think this is when we were starting to get into like Pantera and stuff, and I was still really into like the hair metal stuff, like anything with a cool guitar solo. That was my gig, and this was anti-guitar solo, anti any structure whatsoever. So it never really fell on my radar back then. I mean, of course, I was familiar with the songs because it was all over, but yeah, never got super into it.
I was more into bands like Soundgarden and Pearl Jam.
Yeah, I think they were more my alley than Nirvana.
Nirvana was so mainstream that it kind of turned me off.
Yeah, it's kind of like Nine Inch Nails back in the day.
Exactly. So I didn't get into it later, and I listened to Nevermind like a few years ago and got into that, and it's a great album. But I didn't get into this one until we started.
So like Smells Like Teen Spirit, first track on Nevermind. I skip that every fucking time.
Exactly.
But when I do happen to listen to the radio, which is not very often, and it comes on, I'm like, all right, this is kind of a good jam. So I'm that guy, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a fan of Nirvana. I've always liked it.
So it's grunge, but it's also kind of it's like noise rock in this.
It's very noise rock.
Definitely noisy. Definitely like punk feel to it. Even on the track Milk It. It almost has like metal vibes, you know what I mean?
Okay.
To me, like stoner, like metal, like
on Milk. This was weird to me. On Milk It, one of the lyrics is "Look on the bright side, suicide." Do you think he was,
Well, it wasn't long after this until he.
I think it was less than a year, right?
Yeah.
When he committed suicide.
So I don't know. I think so. I never, like I said, I never really got into Nirvana, but I feel like this was a kind of a different direction from the previous album.
Oh, totally.
Oh, for sure. And that's what they wanted.
Yeah, and they didn't want to repeat that. I feel like I read in interviews that Kurt felt like they'd already sold out with Nevermind, and he was trying to kind of say, "Screw you, we're doing what we want to do with this."
Yeah, I think he was. Kurt Cobain was definitely a sound guy and an aesthetic guy, and he knew what he wanted. And I think Nevermind was a little too polished for him.
Oh, for sure.
And, well, he was open about it and stuff. But, like, In Utero, they recorded with Steve Albini, which is,
They got
a great producer.
They got a lot of flack for it.
Pixies and all kinds of bands from early 90s.
Yeah, he's done tons of bands. And he was known to record, reel to reel, no, fudge and shit. And they recorded this album, I think it was like in like 2 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, that's why I read 2 weeks, and then they sent it in, and the record label was pissed and made them
change it.
Change
but also these
songs.
original recordings, dude. There was like a lot of lost time within the 2 weeks from what I've kind of, read or saw, and they recorded this like as a band, like one take. Yeah, I mean probably a couple takes.
Yeah,
but they recorded the core songs
as
a
kind of
band,
a jam session.
Recorded it, and then later on, put guitar parts in,
So it's
Kurt
like recorded
Cobain's-
live.
pretty much, yes. And
Interesting.
like Kurt Cobain, if I'm correct, a lot of there's no overdubs and stuff like that, with the vocals. He doesn't, which a lot of bands
almost
do.
Tell because there's a lot of rawness in his vocals on this.
Dude, that first chord, like when the record starts, that
first song, it sounds like a dying cat.
Well, I love that the intro is just
so
like
raw.
Like fuck you. Your ears are like what?
Yeah,
yes.
And then into a cool little riff, that he goes into.
The first two tracks are abrasive as shit.
Yeah,
and then like Heart Shaped Box anchors it.
See, I can't stand that song, but I'm with you on the first.
You don't like
tracks.
Heart Shaped Box?
That is like the worst song.
I love that song.
It's like a Smells Like Teen Spirit for me.
Yeah, so
I still love the song, but
no. So I'm with Matt. Like the first two tracks are super abrasive, where I'm just like, this is horrible. But then there's these little parts that kind of peek through.
Abrasive. When I hear abrasive, I'm like tight.
Yeah,
you say abrasive, you're like, nah.
Yeah, no, I mean abrasive. Like I don't want to listen to it because it sounds bad. But then like these little parts peek through that are kind of like, oh, okay, so there's something here, and then it goes back to being like abrasive. But then, like my thing with this was there was so much differentiation on each one of the tracks. Like some tracks are mastered really well, and some are really like poorly mastered.
I feel like the production on this is fucking phenomenal, dude.
See, I don't agree with that. I think the production on this is all over.
I
the
love
place.
how this sounds so much.
Oh no, I love how some of the stuff sounds, but then there's other tracks that you could tell they took their time on.
I kind of like that. There's like a variety of like.
Well, I think some songs were probably just he had for so long already, and then he went in and did it.
Maybe, yeah. But see, I think it has more to do with the way that they were pissed off because Steve Albini did this really raw recording for him. And
no, they loved that at first. Man.
No, the label.
That's
what I mean. No, Nirvana was great with it. That's what they wanted.
Yeah, Steve Albini didn't like the final cut per se.
But the record label came back and said, hey, we want you to redo these songs. And they went and sent, what was it, the 3 Heart Shaped Box, 3 tracks in to be remastered by somebody else.
Oh,
and
right.
That's what's on, and that's what I'm talking about. Like those 3 tracks,
they do sound
but
different.
It doesn't affect
different.
any. Yeah, but it doesn't affect any of the necessarily like the playing of the musicians. You know what I mean? Like
I'm just saying the mastering.
It's noticeably different, and I noticed that too. But I kind of like it. I like that.
It's for sure.
See, it bugs me.
Because you get those 2 nasty tracks and then Heart Shaped Box.
Yeah, and it's really clean.
And it's clean and sound. You know what I like about Heart Shaped Box is like the quiet parts are quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it's quiet, you almost like just hear them in the room.
Dynamic range, yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful, dude. I love that in that song.
Yeah, I love that I love that it has dynamics. I love that it changes up. That it gets loud. It gets low.
It's super quiet. Yeah.
Same reasons I like the Pixies. And this is what this band was just taking their influences and doing it in a different way, and I love it. And especially this recording. I think because they went with Steve Albini, this record is my favorite Nirvana record, man.
Really?
Dude, the drums sound amazing in this.
The drums on Dumb sound so good. So good.
The guitars, like everything about this is really cool.
I like that the guitars are kind of like quieter in the mix.
Yeah, I do like the tone. Like the guitar
bass
tone,
is way up there,
all
dude.
That stuff. It's really good. Kurt's voice is on point through this whole thing.
Yes.
Like even when it's not good and you could tell he's pushing past his limit, it still works really well and it sounds good.
So when I was, like I said earlier, I was a kid when I really got into Nirvana. A fucking kid, didn't know shit. And there was times I thought the lyrics were one thing, and I'm even now, I'm listening and like, reading the lyrics along with it and stuff like that. And these lyrics mean more to me now than they did when I was a kid. I didn't know you know what I mean? I think even lyrically, this is a pretty good record.
Yeah.
So
Casey, you're more of the lyrics guy out of the three
I
of
didn't
us.
get into the lyrics on this.
Really? I'm not a lyrics guy, and I did.
I have this love-hate relationship with Nirvana.
Okay.
Let's hear about it, dude.
So I'm kind of with you. You know, I was hanging out with your sister a lot back then. And
now your wife.
Yeah, now my wife. And she listened to this a lot, along with Hole. But this was so mainstream that it was one of those this band was so mainstream. I won't say this album because it kind of just came out, but it wasn't something I was interested in. It was too mainstream for something I wanted, and it ruined arena metal.
See, it was
which is what I was into. And I was more pissed off that like
hair metal.
Yeah, it killed hair metal. And that was my thing. And I was so pissed off that hair metal was gone that I just hated this band so much that I just never wanted to give them a chance.
Damn.
And I like listening to it now, I still carried that resentment. I was like, I fucking hate this band.
But you kind of admit that it's good.
Yeah,
too.
I have to admit. And I also have to give them this, that they ushered in an era of music where they were like the forefront of this style of music that progressed, like Nirvana or like Soundgarden and Pearl Jam and stuff. But there were so many other great grunge bands that I think were a better representation of the style of music than they were.
Even people,
but they got way more.
They were just the most popular.
They were just the most popular, and it always bugged me.
So even because of Nirvana, we got to enjoy "Jagged Little Pill" by Alanis Morissette.
You enjoyed that?
Because I did.
You don't like Jagged Little Pill?
No.
We're going to do that on this
because
show.
of Nirvana, you know, like Garbage got as big as they did and stuff. And maybe I'm saying bands that you guys aren't into, but like this is the shit that I was into. And I think sometimes I think it does have to do with like the age thing.
Yeah, I think
but it's just also the same with me with like new metal. Like I fucking love new metal, and people are like always like, "Ooh,
Casey likes new metal."
I like new metal. Yeah,
but I'm just saying that there's like sometimes.
True.
Yeah, I shouldn't put you guys.
Do you like Disturbed though?
No,
fuck no,
no. But it's my wife's favorite band.
Going back to the production a little bit, I also wanted to mention, you know, most of the time I listen to this stuff on headphones.
Mm-hmm.
Or in my car when I'm driving around. But I will say, just having my iPhone sitting on the table and playing, this sounds really fucking good on my iPhone even.
I think that's because it's that noise thing.
No, I swear, this album sounds good on cassette, CD, and on vinyl.
What about 8-track?
Never heard.
I don't think it was released on 8-track.
It's not on 8-track, obviously, because it's not. And maybe it is because it is noisy and stuff like that, but I think it also has like a nostalgia for it, you know, like when I first heard this, it was probably on cassette. Or the songs I heard on Crab, playing Crab radio.
Well, I kind of think it's like you guys were saying, like Matt was touching on the iPhone or like just out of the phone speaker saying, when this gets noisy, there is no low end in this. It's all that higher register. So you're not missing a lot of it, but when it opens up,
I see what you're saying.
There's a lot of like mid and low in there.
Do you guys think this plays well as an album, or is it just like a bunch of songs that are thrown together?
To me, I think it plays better as songs, not as an album. But I think that's also because I think Nirvana is a better band unplugged than they are plugged in.
The unplugged shit's great.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like this was too much noise and too much animosity for stealing hair metal to me.
You just can't let it go.
I can't let it go. That I prefer them as an unplugged band. I think they work great as an unplugged band.
Mm. Well, so you wish there was more vodka and less drugs.
Yeah, maybe.
More whiskey.
Yeah, I think maybe
titties,
that's it. More
titties.
More hairspray. I wish there was more hairspray and spandex.
So that's an interesting question for me. That, like, is it just songs or is it an album? I just feel like every song on this album is really good. And it could be played at any time, anywhere, any vibe almost. I really love it. I really love the sound.
So you're saying every song on this is a banger?
Yeah. And a banger is not even a word that I would like even describe. Like
True, right. Album, these aren't like rockin' bangers necessarily. But like great.
But I think this is Nirvana's best album. And I really think it's sad that they had only, really 3 full lengths and this happened, It was produced really well, the drums and everything. I love everything about this record. Casey, what do you rate this?
So I give this a 2.3 out of 5.
Wow. Holy shit.
Couldn't get into it. I couldn't get past my disdain for their sound.
Obviously.
To me,
2.3 might be your lowest rating, I think.
No. Is it?
It might be
Eminence.
That's pretty. I liked Eminence.
No, that was mine.
I would. This one's hard because to me, I feel like Nirvana is overrated as all hell. I don't think they were a great band. They had some really good songs. I'll give them that. I think all of their unplugged stuff is great. But I don't get the Nirvana hype for their regular stuff. To me, it's whiny.
Uh-huh.
And I guess that was a thing, back in the day, but I could do without it. I think Kurt's voice is killer on this. I think the drumming is great. The song structures are cool. It's not my thing. I don't really dig it.
So I just want to say something real quick. I get that. I totally understand. But like, that's the same thing to me with like, say like Metallica. Like, you got to think of it as like a whole picture of like what Nirvana even did to music. You know what I mean?
True.
Like, it's the same thing with the Beatles. I'm not the biggest Beatles fan, but I know the Beatles, they'll, respect where respect is given, And Nirvana opened up, a group of people that had already been doing it for many, many years. But I think I've heard a lot more great music indirectly from Nirvana.
Yeah, they had a huge influence.
Yeah. And I'm kind of glad that happened.
So what would you rate it then, Matt? Since my rating's so horrible.
No, I don't think that was higher than what I thought you were going to do, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of already knew, I know Casey.
I thought we were all going to come in here with like 4 pluses. I thought then you started shitting on him. Like
Nirvana's on my same level as Metallica.
Yeah, we're okay. Interesting.
And I related
Well, I totally disagree. I give this a 4.2 out of 5.
Nice.
This is a fucking killer album. Some of the songs aren't great for me. Like, I don't think I can just pick out any song. I think it plays better as an album. But like the lyrics are fantastic. Like some of them, like I tried to have a father, but instead I had a dad. I wish I could eat your cancer when you turn black. Like, there's a lot of, and we all know those lyrics. Like, when I say it, you guys know what I'm talking about. And it's fucking killer, dude. 4.2 out of 5 for me.
Okay.
Nathan, this is your pick. What do you rate this?
Well, you rate it, Nath.
Well,
Nath.
I guess I'm, now boring and old. I give this a 4.8.
Oh, wow.
And I'll tell you right here and now, I honestly thought about giving this a 5.0.
But you want to blow your load on the first?
No. I think my nostalgia and my respect and thankfulness that comes toward Nirvana plays the rest of my score for it. You know what I mean? And we're voting on this album, and I really love this album, but it's not a perfect album for me. It's a 4.8.
That's one of the things that sucks about doing this is like there's certain albums that I have a lot of nostalgia for, and then I have to go through it with a fine-tooth comb, and I'm like, it's not a 5.
Yeah, it's something that
in my heart, it's some of these albums are 5s, even though when I
because at one point they were, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
But then you get older and you hear other stuff. You're like,
yeah.
Oh. And then you even hear that your 5.0 probably ripped off a riff from Megadeth or something. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah. Or okay. Well, and I'm with you guys because I'm a big fan of the grunge. Like, grunge music was great. There's a lot of it, but it's just the hype around Paw.
Would you have heard of Paw if it wasn't for Nirvana, Casey?
I think I would have.
Because you would have found that.
I would have found
Paw.
But yeah, that's exactly the thing. I was a big fan of grunge. I didn't like the hype of Nirvana. I think that was it.
This is Blenderstyle, and that was Nirvana in Utero.
Hey, wait! I got a new complaint about this.
Hey, Nave.
Like their stuff.